Good evening. You know what this means? It means it's another Thursday night because I'm standing in front of you on Facebook Live. Again, I am so excited, as always, to be back on another Thursday night. That really means a lot of things. It definitely does not mean it's garbage day, but it does mean tomorrow's Friday and it's the last day of the week before we get to sleep in. So all these things make me excited. Tonight, though, we have another exciting presentation, and that is bringing somebody who's very near and dear to me, and that was our past president. And I say that with all love and respect because she was a huge mentor and a great friend, and she's been had an amazing year this year, and that's Damaris Allen. You see her smiling right there. And we have a lot of really cool things to talk about coming up in just a few minutes. We're going to get to reintroduce Damaris Allen to you. For those of you who remember her as president, you probably saw the amazing things that she did for the last 2 years, but she has been just as busy this past year, and we're going to celebrate and talk about all those things. So let me go ahead and share the screen, and we're going to go through these announcements, get them out of the way, and then we're going to come back to Damaris Allen, give her a chance to get all prepared to be on here. She's this is old hat to her. She had to do this for a long time. So really cool stuff coming up with HCCPTA. As you see on Monday night, we have HCCPTA Exceptionally Special Town Hall. We have some amazing people that are part of our panel. That is not speaking about me. I'm the one that's going to pull everybody down. But seriously, we have some wonderful people. This will also be led by our chair, Lynn Gray, as well as Kim Workman, and many people with our ESE departments at the district level. We will also have Jennifer Rogers, who is our ESE, Hillsborough County Council ESE chair, speaking as well. So what we're going to do here, our focus is to really talk about transitioning from grade levels, elementary, middle, and high school, and beyond. For those of you in high school, have high school students, and you're looking to go into the job workforce, looking to college, technical, vocational, we're going to try to answer a lot of your questions, who you need to talk to, where you need to prepare at, and we're also going to be talking about portfolios and who needs to be involved in creating those portfolios, the difference between an IEP and a 504. So a lot of really good information is going to be presented. So I ask you, if this is not something that pertains to you directly, please share this out to a family, a friend, a neighbor, to your school, to your principal, whoever, because we want as many people on here asking these questions, because we're going to have a great panel to have a lot of great answers for them and give them some good direction. So that's Monday night, 6 p.m. You can register, or you can just live stream it and listen, and the chat will be open for any questions. So as you can tell, I'm very excited about that. We finished on Tuesday night. We finished the Hate You Give with the book club, and I believe Amy said it was one of the best ones we ever had. It was 16 people at one point, I believe, and it was a great conversation. I learned a tremendous amount on there. For those of you who are on there with me, you know what I'm talking about. But I was really appreciative of the honesty and the conversation discussion we had. So the next book has been picked out, How to Be Less Stupid About Race, and I have already checked it out. So May 4th, we'll be meeting again, and that again will be on virtual, the book club. And so get your book, read it, listen to it on audio, whatever you need to do, be ready to come out and have some open and honest discussion about how to be less stupid about race. Attention, bylaw changes. Woohoo! So bylaws have been changed. If you haven't heard yet, your local unit bylaws have been changed just a little bit. You do not have to do anything about it. You don't have to have any extra meetings. You are grandfathered in if your bylaws are already in compliance. But the two big changes are your VPs and the virtual meetings. So real quick, your VPs from now on, you'll be able to kind of change those up as you're elected to let them fit into what positions you as president would like them to be in. It sounds simple. It's a little more explanation than that. So what we're going to ask you to do is just reach out to Hillsborough County Council PTA, and we can answer those questions and explain how the process needs to be going forward. But the other big change we've been asking for is virtual meetings. So I know we were hoping that at this point of the year, we'd all be able to meet in person. And I know for some of us, we might be comfortable. For others, it's still a little too soon. No problem. You can still have your last general meeting virtually. And again, you don't have to do anything other than set your meeting and get it all done. Of course, usually the last meeting of the year includes your election. So hopefully you have your nominating committee and you have your elections ready. So speaking of getting ready, I hope you have your tennis shoes ready, because this Saturday, let's see if I can scroll this down a little bit more. Oop. This Saturday at Lake Rogers Park over here in my neck of the woods, literally and figuratively, is PTA Motion. So bring your tennis shoes, bring your walking shoes, and bring your advocacy hat. We're going to have a great time. Should have wonderful weather, and it starts at 9 a.m. We're going to go walking. We're going to exercise. We're going to talk. We're going to encourage, cheer each other on, celebrate all the great things that are happening in this year, even in such a difficult year. So please come on out. Again, it starts at 9 a.m. and be ready to just have a great time and fill that cup back up for yourself. Exceptionally special happy hour. Now, it's kind of a little different from our town hall. Our town hall is a one-off event. This is something that we do, I believe, twice a month. And our next meeting is April 13th. And this will be an extension of the town hall. Jen Rogers will be hosting this. She will, again, be there to answer questions, be an encourager, give you resources, direct you in the right directions, give you everything you need as a family, ESC family, whether it's dealing with 504s, IEPs, anything of that sort. Please tune in. She's a great time to talk to. She's a lot of energy, and you'll get a lot of great resource and information from Jen Rogers. So again, that is also Zoomed and virtual, so you don't have to go anywhere other than your living room. General meetings, trainings, and awards. So we're going to do it. We pulled the Band-Aid off. We're going to have it live and in person, and it's going to be Saturday, May 1st. We are going to do some stuff virtually as well, but we're going to start at 8:30, check in, and we are going to have our meetings. We're going to have our elections. We're going to have our workshops. I believe if you see, some of the workshops are bylaws, compliance, and leadership convention. Now, the reason why we're having a leadership convention workshop is there's going to be some bylaw changes as well to our Florida PTA at leadership that are going to be presented. And we would like to educate each one of you, and also to talk about how to advocate, how to stand in front of that lamp and that pole and talk in front of lots and lots of people on what you feel is important with the bylaws. So we want to just make sure that you are prepared and ready when leadership comes up. Also, we're going to do awards. Darlene Martin, who is our awards chair, has worked very hard. And I know many of you have done an amazing job of submitting the awards. We want to celebrate you. We want to let you know in a year like this that it counts so much more sometimes when there's so many more needs. And so we want to make sure that we represent and let our award winners know how much we appreciate what they do. So please come on out. We'd love to have you there. There's going to have plenty of room. There's going to be light snacks. We will social distance. We will have masks. We're going to do best practices. We're not going to get crazy here, but we'd love to see you guys. Even if it's not your full face, we want to see some of your face. So come on out. And then month of the military child. So this is the month of the military child, the full month of April. And on April 15th, which is next Thursday, we will have Jennifer Sutherland, who's our military chair, come out and talk to you about month of the military and give you a lot of good information and resources on what that actually means. I wish I could tell you more, but she's keeping it secret. It's her presentation, so I don't want to give anything away anyway. But April 21st, we encourage everyone to wear purple, take pictures, post them out, send them to us. We'd love to show everybody smiling faces wearing purple for month of the military child. That is next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel. And purple up. Oh, we already hit that, May 21st. All right, so I think we got it, Amy, right? Yep, she's gonna say yes. So we are back. We are, as you see, the smiling face next to me is Damaris Allen. For those of you who do not remember Damaris Allen, who do not know she is, Damaris was our past president for the 2 years before this past year, and she did an amazing job. She, her and I had talked a lot. She would always, when I called, she's like, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" Because I would always bring bad news to her. But she was always so amazing as far as just being a good friend and being encouraging. And we struggled together, and we got through a lot of things together. And I learned a lot from her. And I'm so appreciative of the fact that she's come on here. But the great thing is, she has not stayed put. She has stayed very busy. So we're going to talk about that tonight. You guys, if you don't know Damaris, you're going to get to hear a great story. If you do know her, you're going to get to catch up on where she's been for the last 7, 8, 9 months. So Damaris, go ahead and wave your hand, everybody. Tell everybody hi.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much, Frank, for letting me come on and chat with you tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, so as I told everybody, as I was saying, Damaris was a past president before that, and she was also a VP of Areas and Regions. I think even before that. So PTA is definitely not new in her blood. So so perfect segue here. Let's start with what got you into PTA.
So that's pretty easy. So when my oldest child, who is now graduating this year, and he's 17, started elementary school, I knew that that was something I wanted to get involved in. I knew it was really important. I knew that parental involvement was the #1 indicator of success in a child's life, and I wanted to be really active and involved in PTA. I also wanted my child to have an experience in elementary school that it felt like more like a family than a place to just go and, feel frustrated, you get homework or whatever. But I wanted him to feel like an extension of the family. So that's a lot of what we work to do as a PTA when I was at elementary school.
Now I've heard the cookie story before. I know cookies got you originally involved, correct?
It was actually cakes.
Oh, was it cakes?
so,
Okay.
so I've always been really cookies. It continued with cookies, right? So a friend called me up and said, "Hey, can you make something for Teacher Appreciation Week?" And I volunteered to make 7 cakes. Because I'm crazy. And so and I wanted a variety. So I made 7 different cakes from scratch for Teacher Appreciation Week. And everyone was like, that crazy person needs to be on the board. And so that's how I ended up serving on the board in elementary school.
And that's a learning lesson to all of you. That's how you become president too. So it was all drawn up pretty easy. So Damaris, so what drives you? What gets you up in the morning? What are your passions or hobbies? Tell us a little bit about Damaris Allen.
What gets me up in the morning, I really love I love public education. I'm passionate about it. I really believe that it's the cornerstone of our democracy, that it's the great equalizer, that it allows kids to become whatever they want to become, right? Like that high quality public education makes all the difference in the world. But along with that, I also really believe in family involvement. Like I said earlier, the reason I got involved in PTA was because I knew that parental involvement was a #1 indicator of success, not what school you go to or anything like that. It's how involved your parents are. And so those are really huge drivers for me. As far as like what I like to do and what I love ballet. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And I think a lot like advocacy, it looks really easy, but it's filled with a lot of bumps and bruises and pains along the way. But when you get it, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm also a huge reader, and I'm a big fan of my kids. They're super fun. I like spending time with them.
So again, I don't have too many embarrassing stories of Damaris, but I do have. I remember at a RNC retreat, you decided to show us your ballet skills. I think that was in Orlando, so that was good. So I know you're taking ballet now, correct?
Yes, yes. So not as much right now because it's session, and so I'm spending a lot of time in Tallahassee. But I have been taking ballet classes at HCC, typically 4 days a week, with a bunch of college students, which really makes you feel old because you're like, hey, you guys are as old as my child. Maybe I can keep up with you. But it's great. I love it.
And like you said, I know you're an avid reader. I've heard you too many times say there's nothing better than waking up and getting a good book and a cup of coffee and all that. So, what are some of the what are I know the story? The question used to be, what's in your CD? What CDs do you have in your car? So, what's on your bookshelf right now? What needs to be read?
So right now I have a pile. You want to, and I can even
Yeah.
so this is what I'm currently reading right now. I'm reading Lead from the Outside by Stacey Abrams. I started it yesterday. It's fantastic. I just finished Schoolhouse Burning. Highly, highly recommended. And I'm also in an anti-racist book club, and we're reading. And this is the one my kids gave me like some kind of funny looks because they were like, "Mom, are you sure you want to be reading this book?" It's called Me and White Supremacy, but I promise it's like the opposite of what it sounds like, right? Like it's kind of breaking down our implicit biases and how yeah. It's not, it's not a how-to guide. I think that's why my kids were like, "Mom, what happened to you?" So
Absolutely. These are those are just light reading, right? Nothing heavy there.
yeah,
And
I
then
don't read fiction. I mean that's just me. I can't read fiction. It's painful for me. I have to like force myself. So
yeah. So I'd show you my desk or my bookshelf, but it's like Captain Underpants and stuff like no, I'm joking.
I used to read that to my kids and gag. Like they talk about snot a lot. I want to say it was like the sixth or seventh book, and it was awful. But my
Oh
kids
yeah.
love to read, so
Well,
it was
good.
worth
So
it.
so let's see. What areas in PTA have you enjoyed advocating? I know you've been doing this for a long time, and I know sometimes there's certain little niches that you kind of hit upon. So, what are some of the areas that you've really kind of attached yourself to?
So I think this is probably the most non-traditional answer that and maybe not one you expect, but I think one of my favorite things to do is to encourage and to help grow new leaders. I think helping people discover like where their gifts and the needs meet, I think is really, really important. Empowering people to use their gifts and giving them an avenue to do it and just supporting them along the way. I think that has been hands down my favorite thing. Now, obviously, the advocacy stuff's great. Programs are great. I love finding out the needs of the community and then doing those things. But there's nothing like developing new leaders. It just doesn't compare because then you're multiplying our ability to do great things.
That's a great answer. Actually, I'm glad you said that. It's kind of apropos that you'd say that because as we move into election season for our PTAs, we need to start looking at the people to take our places, and whether it's this year or next year. And that's only going to be done when you start looking for the gifts. And I laugh because I have engagement and empowerment behind you, and now I'm starting to think maybe I stole that from Damaris. Maybe it wasn't so a genuine idea. Maybe I actually stole it from her. So, but that's a great answer. I love that, and I think it's so important to continue our legacy, not just as PTA members, but just as child advocates in general. As we move forward, we're going to find other things to do, and we want those people to kind of fall in and behind us. So, and we are going to get to, and I know you know this already because you saw the questions. We are going to get to what you're doing these days, but we're going down memory lane here. So, what were your biggest challenges you faced as president at HCC, and even before that? What are some of your biggest challenges?
So I think this is probably the same biggest challenge a lot of people have. Is sometimes your decisions are not popular, and sometimes it's really hard to be a leader. It's hard to make difficult decisions. It's hard. It's even harder to hold people accountable when, especially when volunteers aren't doing what's expected or what the rest of the board needs them to do. It's hard to have those really, really difficult conversations and it's really hard. Sometimes you're just not liked. And I know I'm painting a great picture. So everyone's going to be like, woohoo, I'm running for president. I'm just kidding. But that's the reality. It is really, really hard to be in leadership and it can be exhausting, but it is so, so incredibly rewarding. I mean, I would not trade a difficult conversation or I mean, I'm going to be really honest, like breaking down because you're feeling like no one appreciates you, right? Like um but I wouldn't trade that for a moment because the work what comes out of the work you put in is just it's amazing, right? Like you get to see the fruits of that for years to come, right? Like I'm still seeing things that are happening because of little tiny things that you just didn't expect.
Absolutely. Again, I as you say this stuff, I laugh because I know what you're saying. I empathize with you because I've this year has been a difficult year, just dealing with what we're having to deal with, and then being a first time president is it's a bunch of difficulties and having those difficult conversations. That's something I don't do well. Um, so you saying that you don't like doing them sometimes, but they're important and is I think something our presidents need to hear. And if we don't like what you said, by the way, we'll just edit you out. So we may have to edit. No, I'm joking.
Right, right. Well, and I think that's the challenge is like we think that it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows and wonderful. And I will say that I would say 85 to 90% of the time. And granted, I don't think you can compare county level with school level. There's a little bit more challenging things that come along with, obviously you have more people that you're working with, right?
Mhm.
Um, but you know, it, if we're not honest about there is going to be difficulty, then it's easy for us to burn out. But if we can say, yeah, it is going to be challenging, but it's going to be worth it, it's easier to stick with it through it, right?
Absolutely. I was writing this stuff down the other day. You look back and you say, "Gosh, it's been such a difficult year. What have we really done?" And then I start writing all the stuff that our board has done this year, and you go, "Wow, we've done a lot," and it makes you feel good. And of course, it's everyone pulling together to do it. And those are the things that you have to kind of remember is and taking yourself out of the equation of saying, don't worry about how I feel as long as our kids are being affected and our teachers and our board's doing a great job. That's what we need to smile upon. So, but yes, presidents, it is. We all deal with frustration and things like that. And so when we hear your story as local unit leaders, we know where you're coming from. We empathize with you. But good stuff. I didn't know how to write this question down. This is not a trick question. It's not an aha moment. But what do you think is the, and if you have to come back to this, we'll come back to this, but what do you think is the biggest strength of PTA right now, today, May, or what are we in? April 8th.
I think there's multiple things, right? And so this is what you get when you don't let me think about it, is you're going to
Yeah,
get stuck
I
with
know. My
multiple
bad.
things. I think that connectivity is huge, right? I think that we're a part of something that's bigger than our school, that's bigger than our county, that's bigger than our state, right? I think that is significant because it's really easy for us to get focused on what we need individually, right? What my school needs, and not look at the bigger picture. And I think the beauty of PTA is it pulls us out of that, and it helps us to look um, more at others than just ourselves. And I think that's really, really important for so many reasons that I'm not going to dive into right now. I think the I'm a big, I like systems and stuff that like that you can go to is significant, and it's helpful because I don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? As I become a president I'll be a president at our local unit next year because I'm president elect. And so I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if there's something that I want to do that I saw that Robinson did, that I can go to Robinson, I can go to Amy Marie and say, how'd this work for you? What were your challenges? And so that's another thing that's beautiful about our connectivity. I think the advocacy, especially, and I know this is my heart, right? The advocacy is so vital, especially now. Every session, I think, how can we not fund education better? How can we not, like how are we still having the same conversation? And I think the education and the empowering of our members is really, really important to get them motivated to advocate for funding and for what we need in our schools for our kids to succeed, right? So those are just, and the engagement piece. I can't imagine. I've been really fortunate. Every school my kids have been at has had a really active, engaged PTA. Some more than others, um, but it really does change how a school functions, right?
Mhm.
My school, we really saw, especially in elementary school, an evolution of how the PTA was. It was, originally like one person running everything, and no one was really engaged, and they kind of just did piecemeal stuff, to moving towards having a lot more parents involved. And it went from being, it was a great school, but it really changed how you felt when you walked on campus, right? When the PTA was really engaged and really working hand in hand with the administration, because it really did start to feel like a family. And my kids are seniors and juniors, and we still talk about it as parents about what an amazing, magical time our time in elementary school was. And our kids do too. And I think it's not just the parents, but my kids look back and say, man, I really miss Grady. I love the fact that it was a family, and they talk about the teachers and the administration and the other parents in that same way.
Wow, I wrote those down. As a matter of fact, that's why I keep looking down: connectivity, engagement, advocacy. And we're going to come back to advocacy a little bit, because I know it's kind of something you're doing at the state level. Uh, so I know that's near dear to your heart. Um, for those consider, I should have asked this question earlier. I'm probably going to get trouble. For those considering running for office in PTA, what encouragement and support would you give them, especially after this past year?
Do it. 100% do it. Every single time I've run for office, my statement was, maybe I'll be president. And then I was, right? Or maybe I'll do this. And I was. And I felt ill prepared every single time. I felt scared. I've, I felt inadequate, but I did it, and I did it anyway. And I'm so glad I did. Take a chance, be bold, and do it. You have no idea the difference you can make until you try. And surround yourself with incredible people, and surround yourself with people who are not like you. That is really, really important. And I can't stress that enough. And yes, part of the headache will come from that. But the beauty will be you will have an incredibly diverse board that meets the needs of your students and your families. And that is so important. So do it. Even if it's hard, do it. It's so worth it. And you can always call Frank at midnight. I'm just kidding. You probably will. I say that jokingly because people used to call me, but seriously, if you just need to like cry it out because it's been a rough day, or just you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I don't care. Frank can give out my cell phone number. I sometimes answer it. I'm just kidding.
I might do it now.
But I'm serious. It's worth it. And find someone to walk you through it. But it is run for office. You will make a huge impact. And you know what? Your kids will notice it. My kids have loved every single second of me being involved, even in high school, and even if they make faces at me as I do it, right? And I think going back to that, and now my kids are involved. So like I said, I have a senior and a junior. My youngest is on the legislation committee for Florida PTA. They've both been on the student board since they were in middle school. They sit around and watch C-SPAN with me, and the Florida channel. It's fantastic. And they talk about really, important things, and it's great. And it's just because I was like, maybe I'll do this. But don't feel like you're not ready, because you just kind of fake it until you make it. And there are people around you to support you. And that's what the great thing about PTA is that's built in. The connection is built in.
I love what you said. It's so encouraging. I like it. It's like the Nike commercial. Just do it. I think some of the obstacles or the apprehension I hear are people they have a really successful person in front of them, and they're like, I can't do it like him or her. And that's one of the things. And I would love for you to comment on that and tell people you don't have to do it like him or her.
Yeah, my initial thought when you said I can't do it like him or her is good. You're not supposed to, right? You're supposed to do it like you. And that's the thing is no one's going to care that I wasn't Frank, right? People are going to care that I'm not Damaris. And we don't need another Frank. We don't need another Damaris. We need who you are and your strengths and leadership skills that you bring to the position. And that's the beauty of it. Yes. And we're there to help each other. It's not a competition, right? You're not supposed to be me, right? And that's the beauty. And that's why we worked great together, is because some of the things you're strong in, I'm really weak in, and some of the things I'm strong in, you're weak in. And that's why it's so important to have a diverse board. And if you're just comfortable in yourself, and you trust that you can do the best you can, and just do the best you can, then that makes a huge impact.
Yeah, and the second part of that you hit on is important, on the things that you're not strong at. That's where the board comes in to fill in those gaps, to do those things. I mean, this year we have Jen. I'm just pulling her out because she's next week. Jen Sutherland does our military chair. I don't know a lot about the groups with military inclusion and military, but she does an amazing job. So I just support her and encourage her and let her do her thing. Leanne with LGBTQ, Alicia with advocacy, and April with DEI, and Jen with ESC. We have all these people doing what they do best, and I don't have to worry about being every one of those people. I do what I can do, just like, and I've had this conversation with probably at least 10 people this year about you and me, you being the president before me. I said, Damaris and I are very good friends, but we are very different on what the things that we're good at. I said, she's really good at legislative. She has a passion to do that. It's just not my thing, and it never will be. And you hit it right on the head. If I tried to be like that, I would really, not only would I suffer, I would make other people who are good at that suffer by not allowing them to be empowered. So,
It's
so
like
good
that
stuff.
Albert
Yeah.
Einstein quote where it says everyone thinks something about a fish climbing a tree, right? Everyone's a genius until I should have looked it up before I tried to say it.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm talking about? It's
No,
like
I know that.
everybody's
Yeah.
yeah. So
Amy, you need to pull that quote up.
yeah, Amy, help us. Amy Marie, help us.
Help us. Help, please.
Tech support.
Tech support. So you're currently, so let's get into today now. We'll put the past behind us, although it's a great past. You currently serve on the Florida PTA Legislative Committee. How has that been, not only a learning experience, but what are some of the things that you've enjoyed doing? You know where I'm going with this. I don't need to explain.
Yeah. So this is actually my third. Everyone's a genius. Hold on. Everyone's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life being stupid. That's what I was trying to say before. Thank you, Amy Marie. See what I mean? I couldn't remember the quote. Amy Marie looked it up. This is important. This is why we work well together. So this is actually my third year. We served for 2 years on legislation, but the first year, obviously, I was county president, and it was kind of like drinking from a fire hose. Like I wasn't sure, which way was up. So this year's been really great because I get to focus on just doing that, sort of. But as far as PTA goes, I get to focus pretty much on doing that, and so it's been phenomenal. I'm about to go up for my 4th time to Tallahassee. We go and attend committee meetings and we monitor bills, and I put bills in folders, and there's 10 of us, and they kind of follow everything and say, they look for, obviously we don't advocate on anything. We don't have a position statement or on, and so, or a resolution on. And so we look based on that, and we advocate based on, how we can advocate. And so sometimes we speak, sometimes we wave in support, which means we basically say, yeah, we like this bill, or we wave against, which means, no, we don't like this bill. And so it's been fantastic. I just love it. I'm super nerdy though. Like I love reading legislation. And if you would have asked me this 10 years ago, I would have said, you have to have lost your mind. But I sat and watched session today. Like that's what I did this afternoon, was I just had session on as I'm driving the kids around. So it was fun.
So funny story, true story. The last few weeks, if I can't fall asleep, I'll walk out and I'll put legislative session on, thinking, okay, this is going to put me to sleep. No problem. Do you realize I stay up for like an hour? One time I stayed up and it went off at like 1 o'clock. I'm like, wait a minute, that's it? There's nothing else? And it's really kind of interesting. I actually enjoy it. And sometimes, there's some lively debates and lively people speaking. And sometimes they're just going roughshod right through bill after bill. But I'm kind of with you. I hate to say that, that it's interesting.
Well, and the thing is this goes to the past a little bit. 5 years ago was the first time I went to Tallahassee, and I went and I was like, I went for legislative conference with Florida PTA, and I was like, that's it, I'm in. This is what I want to do, and I haven't looked back since. And it's getting progressive. It's like a progressive addiction. You get more and more into it.
Yeah. So most of us drink coffee and eat chocolate, and you watch legislative sessions. So
I do both of those things while watching legislative.
See, you are multitasking. That's what makes you special. All right. So for those of you just joining us, I know you recognize this. I'm going to say young lady because she is younger than me. Damaris Allen.
I
She
like a
was our
day.
past president. She's our, and you're going to find out what she's doing here in just a moment now, because she does have a new position as well as being on the Florida PTA Legislative Committee. And she does go to Tallahassee pretty regularly. We see her up there smiling, having a good time as well. I do have to throw this in here just for, I'm not going to do the picture, by the way. I won't pull the picture up.
Ah, I've come to love the picture.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these days, but I do have to tell the story of the night that we were in Columbus, and we had just finished the first night, and we got on the bus to go back to the hotel, and we got to like the little bus drop off area, and it was pouring down rain, pouring, like, I mean, serious Florida storms. And so we're standing there, and there's another person sitting there, I think, with us.
Hmm.
And you go, that's it. I'm just going for it. And you take off. And the person looks at me and like, are you going to let her go by herself? And I'm like, fine, I'll go. And I ended up getting my phone wet that night, if you remember. And I didn't have my phone the entire trip. And I was having to use my tablet to talk to people. My wife, that was probably the best 4 days of my wife's life. She didn't have to talk to me too much. Probably enjoyed that. But yes, you ruined my phone, and then it got working like 2 weeks later. I know everybody was trying to fix it and everything, but a funny story. It was cute. We had a good time there. That was talk about a lively session. That was the one that we were trying. They were trying to raise the membership fees, if you remember.
Hmm. Hmm.
So,
Yep.
but a lot of fun. Miss those days. Definitely miss going to National PTA. Hopefully they'll come back soon. So anyway, fun story. Now today, not right now, but as of today, you or I guess let me back up a little bit. A few months ago, you were elected as chair. I'm going to do that right, of our CAC, which is our Citizens Advocacy Council
Advisory.
Advisory. See,
Yeah.
that's okay. I didn't. You know me. I had it as president anyway. How does that affect and influence our community? How does the CAC? Go ahead.
So I'll just tell you about the CAC. The Citizens Advisory Council is to the school board. It was created back in the 70s and it was legislated. And Hillsborough County just saw the value in keeping it around. Each school board member gets to choose 3 representatives that serve 2-year terms. At least 2 of them have to be parents with a child currently in Hillsborough County Public Schools. They don't have to. So, for example, if both of my kids graduated this year and my 2-year term doesn't end until next year, I still get to stay. So it's just at the appointment of the term, and the other can be a teacher. There's a rep. There's 2 reps from PTA, which come from the president of the county appointing them. There's a rep from Hillsborough County Teachers Association. And then we elect a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary out of that body. In addition, every single high school has a student representation. It's split in 2 because we have so many high schools. So we have 12 for 2-year terms and then 12 for another 2-year terms. Right now, we just started, so our juniors will serve, and then they'll serve as seniors, and then they'll roll off, and then the principal appoints them. So basically why it was created was to be an opportunity for the school board to come to the representation of their districts and ask, run policies by them and things like that. We're not a governing board. We don't make any decisions, but we advise on what to do. So because Superintendent Davis was relatively new, he was the first presentation that came in. He came in and talked about, his plans for the district. Almost every school board member has come since then. They all choose what they want to speak on. So Member Hahn spoke on the strategic plan because that was what happened, fairly recently, and she wanted to get feedback on it. So she shared the strategic plan with us. We read through it and asked questions. She had some district representation there to answer any questions. Yesterday, it was Monday, we had Member Vaughn on. She talked to us about policies. They're in a policy cycle. They do policies 4 times a year. And so she wanted some feedback on any policies we may want to have. She wanted to tell us a little bit about the process. The school board attorney, Jim Porter, came on as well and told us about how policies work, what the procedures are with and how that whole thing goes. So it's a really great, one of the things I've enjoyed the most is seeing seeing our students speak, right? So um, we've all been in meetings and we know that some of us like to talk more than others. And so one of the challenges in leading a meeting is making sure that everybody's voice is heard. And so for me, as the chair, I really care most about, not most, but I really care a lot about making sure student voices are heard, because it's really easy for their voices to get lost in a sea of adults, and they are the ones experiencing the policies that the board is enacting now. And so it's really important to get their feedback and to hear how it's really affecting them on a daily basis, and not just the hearsay from other people. The other idea is that we as CAC members take the information we get and we don't just hoard it to ourselves, but we share it out to our community. That way, if we get any feedback, we can take it back. In theory, you're meeting with your the board member that has appointed you, and so that's about how it runs. We don't really make all meetings are open to the public. They're all publicly noticed because all board members can come, so we can have more than one board member there at a time. We actually typically do, even though one board member is running the meeting. In addition to that, we have a district update, which Van Ayers does, and he just kind of tells us what's happening in the district at that point in time. So that's basically it. I'm basically a glorified like meeting runner. I don't really know that I change or do anything like crazy, but this year has been really interesting because obviously it's all on Zoom, and so it's a different dynamic than it typically is.
So you stole one of my questions, but you kind of led it to another question. Can people, can the public, how can they watch this and view it?
So our current secretary is Candy King, and so when it's their notice, but you can send in to her and she can send you the Zoom link. You can't speak or ask questions at the meeting. Only members can ask questions or speak at the meeting or vote. Whenever we vote, we'll vote. The only things we've really voted on are we going to have our meetings on Zoom, and then we'll vote again coming up on who's going to be chair, vice chair, and secretary. So anybody can attend. If you need contact information, it's KANDEE.KING at HCPS, right? Is that it? I forget.
Mm-hmm.
The new
.net, yep.
.net.
Mm-hmm.
So so that's how you can get an invitation. She can send you the Zoom link, and then you can join in and hang out with us. It's super fun.
It is super fun. And you do, I know the guests are typically school board members, but it is really, it's a great opportunity to hear feedback about what's going on. And it's a good open forum to ask questions as well. Now I know this
and
is,
they can, sorry, can I interrupt you for a second? And you can feed, like if you're a PTA member and you have a question, you can send your question to Frank, and Frank can ask it because Frank sits on it as well. So your representation can ask questions for you. That's kind of how you can get around it. Now I won't call on him 17 times because everyone has to be able to ask a question, but you can get questions in that way.
Well, now I'm going to get a flood of questions. Thanks a lot. No,
you're welcome.
No, that's, I'm actually glad you said that. I think that's important if you have questions, please send them to me, email them, don't text them, email them, and we'll be sure. It's once a month. It's on, tell us when it is.
First month. It's the first Monday of every month. It's from 6 to 7:30 over Zoom. Although I imagine next year we will be back in person at ROSAC if, pending ROSAC is there. So.
Yeah, we hope. I know it's Zoom has definitely been a lifesaver for us, but we definitely miss seeing everybody. And I know the meetings sometimes have a different feel to them when everybody's in the same room together. So I'm not sure you can answer this question because I know you kind of have not so much an itinerary, but you have you want to bring in each speaker, each school board member. But is there any direction or focus you would like the CAC to go through next year? Is there any particular issues, or is it kind of just let's talk about the news of the day type thing?
So, I like you, the chairs are elected every year, so there's no guarantee that I'll be chair or that I'll run for chair next year. So I don't know that I can say for sure, but I can tell you how I approached this year. So we met with every school board member. We started with those who weren't running for obvious reasons. And then after that, we met with every school board member that ran and basically told them what the for those who weren't sure what the CAC was, how it, how it was structured, what was the point of it. And then ask them, what are some things you would like feedback on? Because that's a really important thing, is that it's not just there for us to hear a presentation, it's for board members to have an opportunity to get feedback. And so that was a big thing. And so each person said, what they wanted to do. Some of them changed a little bit as time went on, because obviously this is just an easy example. Member Han is passionate about literacy, and so originally she said literacy, but then the strategic plan fit perfectly, and so she switched gears because that's where we are right now, right? She needed feedback on the strategic plan.
Awesome. By the way, because you threw me under the bus a little bit, Regina Gambrell is also a PTA member, so you can send messages to Regina. She's our VP of membership right now. But seriously, if you have questions, send them to us. We'd be more than happy to ask them. And it's a great forum. And as you can see, Damaris is she's a great moderator. She definitely keeps the meetings moving along, and she brings wonderful guests. So it's a really good opportunity to get your questions answered in a very non-confrontational, easy, open forum. So don't be afraid. So I'm gonna save the last question, the last we talked about, but where do you see Damaris in 5 years, in 10 years, doing what? What do you hope?
So that's a really hard question to answer, because 5 years ago I never would have seen myself here, right? So I hope that I find the place where my gifts match up with the need and that I can serve in that way. Shocking, I have considered running for office, but I don't know that that's the place where I can do the most good. And really, that's what it's about for me, is I want to be in the position and the place where I can do the most good. I mean, titles are fine, but I don't really care about them, right? It's about the work, and it's about making a difference. And so if that happens to be the place, then great. And if not, great. It's also slightly easier to do things without that. So I don't know, is the real answer.
Okay. All right. That's a fair answer, because you really don't know. You're kind of guessing. So let's pivot a little bit to what's going on here, and then we'll come back to that question again.
Okay.
So you have something exciting happening to you very shortly. For those of you who don't follow Miss Damaris Allen, you want to tell us what's going on?
Yeah, so I am getting married on May 1st. So thanks a lot, Frank, for trying to steal my day. But
Right.
no, it's fine. It's in the evening and it's going to be glorious. So yeah, it's really exciting.
Oh, but my meeting's not.
No, your meeting's in the morning, so you can.
But it's not going to be glorious, is what you're saying.
No, I'm sure your meeting's going to be fantastic, but you're not going to have a taco bar and margaritas. So I feel like that just alone. Yeah. So I'm getting married, and that's really exciting. And I would go back
I'd like to jump in here. We are going to have a taco bar.
Are you serious?
Yes. Yes, we are.
That is hysterical. But you are not gonna have margaritas.
Boom, drop the mic.
But you are not gonna have margaritas, which is the important part.
We won't.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
So she just dropped the mic on you.
Yeah, sorry, Frank. No margaritas.
Right.
So yeah, it's really I'm really excited. But going back to your question about running for office, I would like to note, like, single parent the entire time. So the first time I was on the board in elementary school, I was like that typical stay-at-home mom, which is why I could bake the 7 cakes, right? Not that that's not the hardest job in the world. I'm not kidding. It's really super hard to stay home with little ones. But I also was a full-time working parent and a single mom to 2 kids. So, like, you don't have to be perfect, right? Like, to do it, just do it. So
I love it. Nike just called and said thank you very much. They appreciate your
Yeah.
endorsement. So one thing I did not mention, I didn't put in the questions, and it just came to my mind. I think it's important to tell you. So I did steal Facebook Live. Okay, that is an idea that I stealed, and I did steal it from Damaris. If everyone remembers last year, hopefully we're putting it back out of our mind when we got sent home. Our students got sent home from school. Damaris started doing something on Tuesdays, and I want you. I didn't ask you this earlier, but I'm sure you'll remember. Tell us a little bit about the story. What was your mindset? Why did you do it? Those type of things, because I think it was important connecting.
Excellent question that I don't know that I know the answer to. Now, I think like everybody, right? Like PTA flexible, right? You find a way to meet the needs of your membership. And I think we've seen local units do that all year long, right? They find really unique and creative ways to meet the needs of the people they serve. And I think when I think of PTA flexible, that's what it means. And I think that has been the most encouraging and phenomenal thing about this year is, I watched one local unit, like, so when I was at Grady, I started along with another parent, we brought back this thing called this fall festival, right? And so it's been going, like, it's one of the largest events at the school every year. And so, it's just, which went along with that family feel. Well, this year they made it all virtual. Right? Like, how do you? I didn't even, when they were telling me about this, they would, they put pumpkin things in the yard. The kids decorated pumpkins. They did all this stuff. And that to me is amazing, right? I never in a million years would have thought about it. And to see them to be able to find a way to pivot and still engage people, even though you can't physically be together, is wonderful. And that's really where that came from. And I think all of us were just really stressed and really scared, and it just all seemed uncertain. And it was, and I kind of want to say it was Amy Marie's idea, because it might have been. I don't want to take credit for something that wasn't fully my idea. So
Well, I know Amy Marie started doing that at Walker, so we'll give her a little bit of props for that. With oh goodness, what principal? Oh, I can't remember her name.
Well, Anthony started it.
Oh, it was Anthony. Okay,
It was his idea. Let's give credit where credit is due. Anthony Jones.
All right. Something Anthony Jones on the phone.
I want to do it once a month. I want to do a Facebook Live with you. It was his idea, and Heather Holloway, she picked up right where he left off, and great principals there. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, and
100%.
I think that's another beautiful thing about PTA. It's right. It's I had a former boss that used to call it creative swiping, right? Like, we creatively swipe ideas from other people.
That's true. I call it stealing, but swiping sounds so much better.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really important what you were doing, because you mentioned the word scared. There was people that were scared. They were nervous. They uncertain, frustrated. All those emotions were playing in because none of us had any idea what was happening, what was going to happen. There was no playbook. And to see not only you, but to see you on there every Tuesday, I believe, and talking about food pickups, which I think were important. And that was at that time that was a big concern with food insecurity, which it still is, was really a great opportunity. But it was more than an opportunity. It was important for our communities to say, hey, we're still together. We're still working on this. We're still in the same thing together. Here are some resources. Here are some places you can go. And I was really thankful that you did that. I know you enjoyed it, but I know unfortunately you had to do it because of some bad things. So, but it's turned into something really great. So there's your legacy right here. So very, very nice. So we're up against the hour, although we'd love to talk to you forever and ever. And I call you once in a while anyway, just to chit chat. We're so thankful. If you want to, you're up. Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Sorry. If you want people to know how to reach you, can they reach you? And how would you like them to reach you?
Yeah, sure. I'm so used to giving out my cell phone number. I don't even care anymore. You just have to tell me who you are. And so if you really just need to break down, seriously, call me. I'm not happy to listen to it. You know what I mean? I'm happy to shoo my child out of the room. Oh, maybe it's a dog. So the door can't close back. All right. So my phone number is 813 843-6210. Feel free to text me or call me. I'm more likely to answer if it's a text, just because I can do it anytime, unless I'm driving, of course. Or you can email me. My email is my last name, Allen, Allen for now, Damaris, Damaris @gmail.com. And I'm happy to, chat anytime.
And if you're looking to, and this is only one part of your life, I know, but if you're looking to, if you're watching Tallahassee and it's something that you feel like, hey, I can be part of this, I have something to offer, reach out to Damaris. Let her know where you feel like you fit in, what you'd like to do. It doesn't mean you have to go to Tallahassee every week or every month. Maybe it means just doing research information, watching programs, anything. This is where she's plugged in right now. Use her abilities, use her gifts that she has right now to do something like that. It is not an avenue that I feel comfortable in, although I enjoy going to Tallahassee, but it is a place that we are absolutely 100% in need of more and more advocates right now, as we are fighting tooth and nail for every dollar for our students in public education. So I'm sure she would love to have more people to work with and to bounce ideas off of.
Can I ask a
Always.
question?
Yeah.
So
I say yes, like I'm just taking
like
over.
you're in charge. Okay.
Yeah. This is why you don't have past presidents on. You're like, like, okay,
Right back
take
over. I wanted to ask a question. Which bills should we really be following right now? I know there's a lot.
So 86
It
just
did
passed.
It
So
did.
it passed today on its third reading. 2219, I want to say. I might have just made that number. I'm almost positive that's right. 22 yays, 19 nays. And yeah. But that to me, this is me personally, not PTA, not it's a symptom of what's been happening for years, right? So 48, SB 48 is my biggest concern. It really just opens up a world of vouchers without any accountability. In fact, it dials back what little accountability there currently is. So there's things like we used to have a yearly audit and there's been findings every year. And now there's going to be an audit every 3 years. If you want to homeschool your kid, you can get money to homeschool your kid just on a card, and you don't have to spend it on their actual education. You can save it for college, and you can never get your kids services. In fact, one time I was listening to testimonies in a committee meeting, and one parent said, it is easier to buy my child a PlayStation with this voucher money than it is to get them the actual services they need. And I feel like that's all you really need to know this is really, really bad. And we're just woefully underfunded. And so to me, SB 48 is the worst. Now there are some really great things happening. There's the see, now I'm not going to remember numbers, but the parental consent, if the Baker Act bill, where if a child is going to be Baker Acted from school, they have to call the parent unless there's, it's going to cause harm to the student before they're Baker Acted. Because right now, kids can be Baker Acted without a parent knowing, and that can be terrifying. So there are some good things happening, but for me, that 48 is the big concern.
Now, is 48 the one that does not have a companion bill?
A bill came out of committee for that. Yeah, it does have a companion.
It does.
Okay. It
Okay.
originally did. You're thinking of 86, but 86 can be. There's creative ways they can make that happen. And the big concern is how they're going to, change the money around. And so, yeah.
That's
yeah.
For parents to be watching. So.
Well, and I think that. I don't mean it to be exciting, but I think the thing that gives me hope is that 86 has engaged parents that haven't been engaged before. And for those of us who've been watching for a long time are like, well, we could have probably told you this was coming. They've been defunding K through 12 education. Of course, they're going to move on to our college kids. So. And if you heard some of the testimony today, there are some concerns with bright futures and that, it tend, but it was really interesting to listen to. And I will sum up later because otherwise I'll go on a rant forever and talk about this stuff.
I just want to make sure we touched base on this because I know we're closing in on the end of the session soon. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
it actually ends 2 days before I get married.
there you go. It's like they knew.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
They,
yeah.
one of
are
the
they going to have margaritas at the session?
never.
Listen,
Don't
you
worry.
need it
They
after.
have pancakes in Janet Cruz's office. That I know.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
All right.
not this year though. It's not the same.
no, we missed Janet Cruz. We got to talk to her on virtual, but we missed the donuts in the office.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know this year's gotten past. It's weird to say that because we thought in August, oh my goodness, year will never end. But we're getting towards the end, and I know we've caught up a few times. But it's great to see your face. It's great to hear what's going on at the CAC. It's really even better to hear what's going on with your work at Florida Legislative. You're a wonderful advocate, an amazing mom. You're getting ready to be an awesome wife, and we want to